The 139.
Yes, it is.
So it does look like it's an all brick 2-unit. Cash offers only. I guess you're going to run the repair numbers?
I'll run them while I'm there today
Mm-hmm.
for the 3:30.
2 units. So I'm curious, are the 2 units the way this picture is taken? If it's 2 units in this side of the duplex, or if it's, you know what I mean?
It's definitely not clear.
This is definitely a house for your portfolio. This looks stinky.
Definitely a hot mess.
You can smell it. Oh, I love that paint.
Yeah, I'm afraid to show you the pictures of the triplex.
Isn't
Yeah,
worse.
I mean, but in reality, when you look at these pictures, the bones look good. It looks mostly cosmetic. Like, I think that's just dirt. As this is what you'll see in person, whether there's water coming in somewhere, there's light coming in that door. So I don't know if that goes outside. That might need a better seal.
It's better ventilation.
This might be previous leak. That's what I had in my historic home, right at the windows. Or it could be an old heater that they upgraded. I love the caution tape. That's always a good sign. All right, so when I look at something like this, I know you always pick ones that are interesting to, it's hard to find the comps because of the layout. This one doesn't have any, oh, there's the square footage. 5 bedrooms. Joanna, what do you think looking at this one? Do you think it's the whole building or like one side with 2 units in it?
It really is tough to see. It really is tough to understand this particular building. And I can't wait for you to feed us back what you see today.
Mm-hmm.
I would put an offer in regardless.
Yeah.
And I say yes until I say no, right? So first of all, it's brand new on the market, so you're not going to be the only one. We typically like to, for everybody, general purposes, we typically like to look at 90 days and older because nobody's looking at that, and now it's a problem child, and now the seller's more motivated. Trisha tends to get them straight out the market. She talks them into just deal with me and get it off the market. They're like, okay. So Trisha's got that knack for doing that. But typically I want y'all looking at something that's 90 days and older. Okay.
I often want 90 days and older too, because there is a lot more good conversations that come. This is going to be like a quick conversation versus somewhere where I can get the story and really give them all options. So I like it where it's like that 60 to 90 days marked also.
Yeah, I know what it is for your market, right? So if your market is normally 50 days, then you might have to go out 120 days for more motivated sellers. And a lot of that is shifting right now in everyone's market. So, you know, things have lessened. It's becoming more of a buyer's market because the sellers aren't getting the prices that they want. So, this is another reason to like put urgency under your butts because, I mean, this next 90 days, some people are still waiting, right? And some people are like, but I still want my price. And so we're in this like little lull of things shifting. And the more offers you can put out there, I don't even care if they make any sense at this point. You need to get your name out there. You need to have the conversations made to sellers and realtors and other investors. Get your offers out there, as many as you can in the next 90 days. Okay. So with this particular one, I mean, I can't wait to see more numbers, more data on this. Again, the caution tape is always a great sign, means money. So, and you know, like the messier it is, it does look mostly cosmetic. It looks pretty stable. Like I don't see any major disruption in the foundation, the retaining wall, or anything with the building itself, from afar, right? But once you get up close and you look at this personally, And again, if this was sitting here 90 days and older, I would just call, make an offer, submit it. I wouldn't even go look at it. Call, get the details, make the offer accordingly. And just submit it. Don't even leave your desk. Now, this one happens to be brand spanking new. They're having an open house and she has an opportunity to go look at it. So she's going to run through it, which is cool. But again, know your market and what you're dealing with so that you know how to handle when certain things come up. Each one of you is going to have something different. And you only know that because you're the one that's got the blinders on studying in your market. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
And I'll
So,
just
Jen,
add,
I have a question. So the waiting till 90 days. So is it not a good idea to even just like give them something and say, this is what this is what I like to offer. And if you sell it, it'd be, if you end up selling, fine, no hard feelings, but just keep me in mind if something happens. That way, at least he sees, they'll go, well, we've got Ricardo Garcia and we've got Destiny and we've got Kristen and well, Rico's deal looks pretty good. Is that a good idea? I mean, or just not give them anything at all?
Now, so the fact that she's looking at this and saw it, and it doesn't even matter what the time is, it stood up like Waldo. Just go make the freaking offer, period.
Right.
And that point I come across all the time to make sure that you're throwing it. That's that 90-day window I'm talking about. Get as many as you can so
Right.
that when they're not getting their numbers, they're looking back going, hey, Rico's looks good. Hey, I keep seeing this Rico guy. Hey, this, hey, that, like you guys need to be on their desk
Gotcha.
when shit hits the fan. What I say about the 90 days and the older is because, well, first of all, if you're just starting out, right, you're just learning your market, you want to call those first because they're the most motivated.
Correct.
Okay. And also you have the least amount of competition because everyone already shot their wad when it came on the market.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's that kind of stuff. But you're right. You want to be on their desk. So when something does fall through, they look at yours.
Correct. And I think that door that's in the middle of the two sets of windows, I think that's because the stairs walk up to that door. I would imagine that as soon as you pass that door, you're either going to go left to that apartment or right to that apartment. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
It's a one entry,
Yeah.
which means there's, when I'm looking at multifamily, and this is the closest to multifamily we're looking at here in this group, is I want everything on the outside.
Mhm.
So I would want 2 outside doors. Because guess who has to pay for the stuff in the middle?
Correct.
You do, the landlord. You have to pay for the electrical, if there's carpet in there, if there's something in the hallway, lights, garbage, whatever. You have to pay for the in-between. So as much as you can have 2 different doors, I would look for that as well. But yeah, this is, I can't wait to hear what you come back with, Trisha, with more data. It does seem like you'll have to go through the one door to get to the rest of it, so.
Yeah, how exciting. I like this. I really like this meeting already. Just starting out. It's cool. So how exciting, Trish. Good for you.
just wanted to add for the reason when you're starting off looking at the older ones too, is you can go slower. So
Mhm.
Trish has been doing this for a while. She knows her numbers. She has a contractor in her house that can help her with the numbers. So it's easier for her to go in and make a quick, like she knows her numbers faster. If you're not confident in the numbers, getting the houses that have been on the market longer, you can take your time. There's no rush to send in an offer. So you can take your time looking at your numbers. Not too much time, as Joanna will say, but I think sometimes when you're new, if you're looking at something that's brand new, you might be too eager and then not do your numbers as smartly as you should. And you don't want to send in something that's not going to work out. The other benefit of just getting, like Joanna said, you don't have to look at it, just send in a number, because then you can always modify that number once you get inside and do the inspection and say, you know what, there's actually more work that needs to get done than I thought, and then you can negotiate that price as well. So that's something I've learned in the past year with Joanna, is just making the offer step one to get in the door. You don't have to go walk it before you make that offer. So for this one, I mean, the very first thing she gave you numbers, but I would validate and verify those numbers. So I need to know what the unit breakouts are. What are the bedroom, bathroom, square footage for each unit if this is a 2-unit building? And then look up the rent value. So she gave you what the rents are going for. That's great, but do your own homework and make sure that those numbers are accurate. Because I have had some realtors that throw out some numbers, which maybe they're just very optimistic, but they did not match what Rentometer was giving me. Same thing with the ARVs. That's cool that she's sharing some comps with you, but do your own homework. And if you want, I opened up 2 of these. Again, this is where I always, whenever you bring in your Philadelphia or your Pennsylvania ones, I have to figure out where they are on the map. So when looking at the comps, we know it's a 2,200 square foot house. I'm looking at where it is on the map because I'm a very visual person. So I'm going to go back to here. Where is the, do you want to get your book and sit in the chair? Just want, there it goes. All right, so we were looking in about this area, right? So I'm going to look at last sold and let me know if I need to slow down. I know I always click really fast. The home types, because of the way this is laid out, it could be trickier because it's listed as a duplex. Let's just start off with those. The square footage, we said 22. Let's see if that doesn't look too tight right now. And then I always, this thing's always in my way. I always start with the newest. So right off the bat, I'm not seeing multi-units. Maybe I'll just do all. See if anything else pops up. So these all look like single family homes. So this is what I mentioned to Trisha. She tends to find ones that it is hard to find that ARV because there's nothing, I'm not seeing anything nearby that's like a duplex like that. So what we can do is, and this is where I do this slowly. So I've maybe changed the square footage just a little bit just to see, is there anything that was a duplex? It's really fascinating. So I'd be curious to see what are those, this 3-unit property. So that's interesting too. So this is a 3-unit, but it wasn't really showing as a 3-unit.
I lent on that deal and he sold it and now the new buyer has it on the market again
Wow.
for a different price, for very much higher. I don't know if he put tenants in place or not.
But when you look at the map, it's literally on the other side of the railroad tracks. So it might not be the best comparison. Because remember, this one is on this side, literal railroad tracks. So that could be a neighborhood divide. That looks like one little neighborhood. This looks like another little neighborhood. Let me try and zoom in just on this area. Joanna, I don't know if you have anything to like jump in and add. It doesn't look like there's anything I would say is a real comparison. So you might be just looking at what that rent potential is.
Yeah, I would stick with the square footage. Appraisers look for square footage over everything. Whether you have a 2,000 square foot house that's 2-bedroom, 1 bath, or you have a 2,000 square foot house that is 4-bedroom, 3 bath. You know, like there are some tweaks to value to extra rooms and extra bathrooms, but ultimately they're looking at the square footage. So I would start with that. That's always number 1. Which you can only be 200 one way and 200 the other. That's a true comp. Now, if you have to go out a little bit more than that, you have to adjust for it. A true comp where you don't have to make any adjustments is 200 less or minus. Or
And it looks like
plus.
based on just the square footage, they're all selling around the 350 mark.
And with this one, regardless of what it is, it says 5 bedrooms, 2 baths, I think it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a 4.3 right there for 375. So if you just take the basics out of it,
And then this looks nicely done on the inside.
and that looks like a pretty number. Yes.
Yeah.
Completely done, sold in August. So that would be a pretty number comp.
And then let's go down to the other end and see what the inside's like.
But also know that a single family is valued more
Mm-hmm.
than a duplex or 3 or 4. Because in a single family, you have your own space and now you're sharing space. So that devalues it a little bit. Same thing as if you have a single family, you know, in the neighborhood and it's surrounded by duplexes and 3plexes, that devalues that single family. Okay,
And-
so the more single families you have around it, the more value it is.
Don't they normally consider it too right off the bat whenever it's a like a duplex or anything higher? It's an investment property. They don't look at it like a single family. They don't look at it they always just think of it as a single family, or is that not the case? Does it matter, you think, or?
Well, so single family is 4 units and under. Multifamily is 5 units and up. So regardless of
Oh.
feelings,
You're right.
that's the legality of it.
Gotcha.
So it's in a comparison way of appraising versus a cost approach, the cash flow coming in.
Good
would
point.
be
Forgot about
Yeah.
that. Right. Anything
But
in the
yes, an investment property nonetheless, so there's not as much love there, if you will.
Uh-huh.
All right. So other than trying to take a look at that and then getting more information, are there any other questions on this property?
What do the rents go for?
I think what I wrote down, the realtor told Trisha 11 to 12 per unit, right?
Yeah, she said right around 12. Like I always say conservative 11 to 12, but I haven't looked them up on Rentometer yet.
Okay, and just looking at it briefly, so just looking at pictures, like you're not gonna go look at it today. How much in repairs do you think is needed when you spoke to the realtor and then looked at the pictures?
When I look at the pictures, I would think between 20 and 30,000, just paint and LVP flooring. That's not worrying about that door having a little lip in it, because I think that's things for a rental repair. I think that we could do. I wouldn't upgrade those kitchens too much just because things on that market in that area are okay with that. I might put a nicer piece of countertop.
Okay, so you might be at 180. And then,
I just asked her just for something because we can't find a comp. She said that the real estate agent's getting back to me. 318 West 2nd Street is the one that she bought at 195 and has the rental there for the 2 units. But I didn't see that come up in a comp either.
Yeah, when did she buy it?
And then she says, do you want to see our appraisal?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so and again, because I don't know what the unit breakdowns are, the 2-bedroom Rentometer showing 1262 as the average. But also it's interesting looking at Rentometer because that area doesn't look like there's a lot to compare to. They're comparing neighborhoods that are further out.
She did that at the end of September. that she bought the 318 West. And then she said she'll email me the appraisal for hers.
Okay, so
the-
you, even at 1,200, and you're probably gonna end up at 180 with purchase and repairs. Spending on this particular building. You're gonna end up with about 620 cash flow. Now, it used to be, before all the prices went through the roof. And why you might look for 3 units as well. Is at least one of the units. Like in a duplex, one of the units should be paying for the mortgage. Okay, our prices have shot through the roof, so it's really difficult to get that nowadays because we're a little cattywampus in our economy. And that's okay. We just need to know how to pivot. Okay, so making sure, so you're gonna need to have 2 tenants in there at all times, or you're paying the note. Which is impossible. There's never 100% occupancy. You always have to adjust for, transition.
Would this be in a 5-bedroom? I would assume one's a 3 and then one's a 2. I would imagine you could charge more for the 3, keep one at 12, and then maybe a little bit more for the 3-bedroom. Because that's an advantage right there to have a 3-bedroom apartment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It depends on your area, because when I was researching Richmond, the broker I spoke to about multi-units, he said that the 3 and 4s are actually harder to rent in that area. It's the 1s and 2s people are looking for, which I found was interesting.
Yeah, no lie, me too. That's wow.
Well, so typically, when that happens, again, you have to know your market, right? So when that happens, it's because anyone who's looking for a 3-2 is typically a family, and a family doesn't want to live next door to somebody else. Okay, so you might get a startup family or a couple that doesn't mind sharing. But once you get into 2, 3 kids, you want your own space. You want a house, you want a backyard. You don't want to share a wall with anybody.
Mhm.
So that could be why the 3-bedroom is harder to rent. Because they could, for just a little bit more, go get a house. Any questions on that from anybody? Was that helpful to see the run through?
Yeah, good for me.
I run such a problem with the comps. I can never find comps that are comparable. So I have like a decent price on it. So that's where I hate to say
Or
it's
I
like,
go back to, am I cash flowing? So even if you're taking cash to the table, I know you plan to refinance it later on. So what is that rate going to be? And I would run it off of that.
okay.
I would run the numbers as if you're not bringing cash to the table, you're borrowing 100%. What is that cost? And is it going to cash flow based off that?
Okay. My
Yeah.
other one,
I've been playing super hard on my rates. I'm not going conservative at all because we don't really know what's going to happen. So I've been running everything at a higher rate because I'm like, if I can get a lower rate, then I'm just making more money.
So when you say at 100%, you're gonna borrow the money at 100%, that money that's coming in, the income that's coming in from the property, it's got to be able to pay. I would assume that's gonna be like a hard money lender. Somebody, is that what you mean when you say that?
So
Or
for me personally, it could be a private money lender, a hard money lender, or I know Trisha uses a DSCR loan when she refinances. So I wanted to just show you real quick, and we'll just do like easy numbers to make the math easy. So if I was looking at this property, they're asking 139. Let's say I like 135 because it's a clean number in my head. Repairs are going to cost me 100K. And again, this is just an estimate. So what did I just say? 135 plus 100 is 235. So I'm going to go to the bank rate. 235. I'm on the wrong one. So I'm going to say 0% down because I need to borrow all of it. Put up a higher rate just to get me started. That's going to be what I'm paying someone to support this project. Now, again, these weren't accurate numbers, so I'm just giving you an example of how I run it. So then I'm looking at her numbers. If she can rent it for, again, let's be positive that she does some great upgrades and gets 12 for each unit, that's 24. Then you have to figure out your holding costs. Are you paying any of the utilities? What are your tax, insurance? Do you have property manager? For me, those numbers are too tight. It's not a big enough. Like right there, I'd be bringing in 24 a month. And because I've run this enough, I know my holding costs are, I'm just going to estimate 500 right off the bat. And I'm breaking even. I'm not cash flowing. I did go high on repairs, so I'm sure Trisha and her husband can have smaller repair costs when they're running it. But that's where you have to really break down everything. Your holding costs, are you paying on your loan while you're renovating it? Things like that. So that's how, again, this isn't numbers for Trisha because I know she's going to do her own numbers, but I just wanted to show you how I'm running them on Bankrate as an example. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
I can see Rico doing the math.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because a lot of times when I see the price of what it's going to cost me, I always think $1,000 for every 100 grand. That's the way I've always done it. So it gives me, it's kind of a ballpark, like you said, but
Yeah,
it's still that's the way I look at it. If the house cost me $300,000, I know I'm looking at 3 grand a month payment, and then I see how much money is coming in, and if it's nowhere near that, then I just say no, I got to find something cheaper. Because of, like you said, with Trisha, having a contractor at home, that's nice. You do a lot of work, but the whole idea is not to have to do that, right? Is that do just cosmetic stuff, and but it's hard to find those properties that are like that. That you just go in there and put lipstick and make it nice and put the tenant in there. It's hard for that kind of price for
yeah,
139 or 140. Man, that's even to get a duplex like that, that's a good deal. People used to say, "Oh, I'm not buying in those areas." Well, people need a place to stay, and if they're going to pay they're going to pay $1,000 or $1,200 to live there. It's good.